I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Anyway, hey, there we go.
So we got you.
That's me. Anyway. Good God, look how big I got. Gee, Christmas. So I'm only thing I can share with you is my experience, strength, and hope. And my experience is that I was born May the 22nd, 1944, in Oakland, California, and my name was Robert Lee Henderson. My father's name was William Henderson, U.S. Navy. And my mother's name was Mamie Alacio, and I was the second child, as they called it in those days, born out of wedlock. And so I was put up for adoption, and a nice lady named Dorothy Elizabeth Burge and a man named Edwin Burge adopted me and changed my name to David Edwin Burge. So that's my name. And they fought all the time. They didn't get along with each other at all, and never had a discussion where they'd say, I feel unloved by you, Albert, or my father would never say, I feel disrespected by you, Dorothy. It was always finger pointing and things like that. So I grew up with that, and being a little shaver, I slept with the lights on all the time. I was afraid of the dark, and so they had to leave a light on all night long until, while I was in the bedroom sleeping. If you close the door in the dark, I went into a panic. And years later, I learned through therapy and groups and things like that I had abandonment issues. And so I really believed, and my parents divorced when I was 14 or 15, and they separated all the time. And so I heard some guy on the radio that I listened to all the time, and he said, I've listened to people for years, and he says, I think it's more important for a child to feel secure than loved. And I couldn't agree with him more, because I didn't feel, I was always afraid when my parents got in a fight, or if anybody got in a fight, something bad is going to happen. They're going to leave me. And then I really believe that in therapy that it was my fault that my parents were so unhappy and they got divorced. That's a lot for a little kid to take on, So I knew I was a mistake, and if the guys teased me, one time they said, I said, I think I have an inferiority complex, and one of the guys said, no, Dave, you're just inferior, and I kind of agreed with him, at that stage in my life. Yeah, I probably am, after all, nobody wanted me, and so that's the way I grew up, and I tried everything I could to get people to love me. I acted out, if I could get attention, any kind of negative attention was just as good as positive attention. Probably better. I knew more about that than anything else, so without going into specifics. So one thing that I would tell my mother was nobody loves me, and so she would sit me down with a glass of milk and a box of things, and have me say, well, eat some of these, Sonny, you'll feel better. And so I would eat half the box of them, and she says, that's gluttony. You don't need to eat all of them, David, and I always have eaten too fast. I've just been a wound up kid and a wound up man, so the program's perfect for somebody like me. And food was always my friend. I was always lonely, and so I turned to food, like most of us do. When I was 20, I weighed 241 pounds, and I was looking for a guy up in Los Angeles on his racing cars. I met him at the racetrack, and he offered me a job working on his racing cars. So I moved up and lived with him in his big house in Arcadia, and he told me about a diet doctor in Azusa, Dr. Stanley Z. Gilbert, and he gave you these little pills, packet of little pills, and he gave you a shot, and you lost weight. So I went over there for $2 every week. I got my shots and pills, and I was losing weight. And then some lady died from the pills and shots. So he got sued and they closed him down. And so it was, I was disappointed about that. And then I moved back to San Diego with my mother. And I told this lady that I was working in a speed shop down here. And I told Don Wenzel owned the speed shop. I told his wife, she says, "Where do you go up in L.A.? I used to go up there every week to get my pills and shots, And she says, what kind of pills and shots are you getting, Dave?" I said, "Well, they help me lose weight." She said, "Well, can I see that?" I showed it to her. She says, "Dave, you can get those anywhere." But I mean, I didn't, I had a little area that I lived in, and I just couldn't see outside the box. So that was my introduction. Because I had nicknames all my life. We were talking about the other day. My nickname was Porky, San Diego Fats. I had all these nicknames, and got called all the names and stuff growing up. And my mother would try to make me feel better, saying, "Look, you're not a fat boy, David. You're just husky," So anyway, those were my struggles growing up. And anyway, when I found I couldn't go see Dr. Gilbert anymore, I came back down to San Diego and I went to the bowling alley where all those guys hung out, and there was this girl. I thought she was just a gorgeous thing, and and I dreamed about her. And Judy Rudinsky, and she saw me. I weighed 190 pounds, and I walked in the pool hall where all the guys hung out, and she ran up and threw her arms around me and said, "Dave Burge, you are so handsome. You look great," And I could not say anything to her. I didn't know what to say. I was afraid. It scared me, and I never, that's not the image I had of myself. And so I know what I did. I turned around and went down to the Speedy Mart, which now they call 7-Elevens, and I got me a bunch of junk food, and then my weight just started going back up again. And then I got married, and fast forward. I found out I went to the doctor because I hit some kind of a bottom, and I went to the doctor of internal medicine, Dr. Mary Jamian at Kaiser Permanente, my health plan, and she said, "Here's a food plan, follow the food plan, and come and see me in a couple of weeks." So I'd go back and say, "Hey, I lost 15 pounds, Hey, I lost, just, you're doing great, see you next week, keep following the food plan." And so, I lost almost all my weight, and then the guy said, "Hey, we're having a Christmas party, and, you're going to eat something, are you? "No, I'm on this food plan." Says, "You can go back on that Monday." So, I had all the goodies at the Christmas party, and Monday never happened. Monday never happened. And so, then they came out with the stomach bypass surgery back in 70 something. And so I went in there and I demanded, I said, "Look, this food plan did quit working. I want the bypass surgery." And she wouldn't give it to me because she said, you're not at risk. You don't have high blood pressure or congestive heart. We only give that to people that are at risk. And so I couldn't I was very disappointed. I went in there with my gun loaded, I pay $63.48 a month for health insurance, and I want this. And she said, "No." I said, "Well, then I need psychiatric treatment, because anybody that eats like I do and thinks about food all day long, there's something wrong with it, That's not normal." And she says, "Well, I don't think you need psychiatric treatment." And she says, "What I think you need is a support group." And she says, "I only know of two. Weight Watchers and Overeaters Anonymous. And the only thing I know about them is one costs money and the other one doesn't. So that's why you know me. This was free." And then, of course, as we know, you have to pay the price. And it's not, not what we thought it was. But so I came to my first OA meeting August 17th, 1944. 1944, that's right. 1976, August 17th. So I don't know how much time I have, but I'd never heard people talk the way you people talk. I never heard people that understood my overeating or the way I thought about food. And then you gave me the solution was to turn your will and your life over to the care of God. And that's the part, and the part of the meeting I liked was take what you like and leave the rest. So I left all that God stuff and that AA book stuff. Oh, I left that out, you know. And I got a lady that was my food sponsor. What was it? Oh, I heard somebody talk. I thought I was done. So I got a lady who was my food sponsor. Lost all my weight. Lost it too fast. You know, got sick. You know, from losing the weight too fast because I was in a hurry. Always in a hurry. And so I started. You know, my wife said, "Well, you know, you've lost all your weight. Why are you still going to those meetings?" I said, "Well, because there's more to it than just going to meetings. That's what they tell me." So this lady came and invited me to a meeting on Wednesday night somewhere else. It's a really big meeting, and she smoked the same cigarettes that I did, gave me a cigarette. You know, we smoked cigarettes back then in the meetings. And so I went to the meeting. My wife didn't understand why I was going to more meetings when I lost all my weight. So it ended up her divorcing me. And my divorce paper said, respondent suffers severe personality change due to the involvement in the program of Overeaters Anonymous. Quote, almost quote unquote.
Got 5 more minutes, Dave.
5 more minutes. Thank you, Fred. And so, you know, this other guy I met at a meeting that came over from AA, Pete, he just got divorced too. He's sleeping in his car. I was sleeping on Rick White's couch. So we got an apartment. And that's when the recovery came, because he'd been in AA a long time. And he sat down with me and helped me write inventories and write 10 steps. And wow, did I learn a lot about myself. Boy, everything started to change then. And I was in so much pain, I finally worked the steps with him. And then I got what happens to some of us that think we have education and we know all about this program. And you know, my argument was, well, I've been the chairperson of the intergroup. I've been a conference delegate. I've been on the retreat committee. I've led retreats. I've done all these things. You know, I coast a little bit. You know, and I'm running now. I'm running every day 4 miles. You know, so I can go down here and have some of this, and I can have some of that. You know, and pretty soon I got too smart. If somebody said the program isn't for smart folks, you know, you can be too smart for the program. I don't know if that's true, but in my case, I got too smart for the program. And so I had that relapse. That's what I looked like. And crawling back from that was very painful. And I had to go through another 12-step program because I remarried again to a lady that had a little alcohol problem. And so I went to this other 12-step program that teaches you to mind your own business. So I did, and you know, I could just shorten it up to say, when I came in, the instructions were when I came in here in '76 was, you got a sponsor, called your food in every day, weighed, measured your food, no sugar, flour, or wheat products, and you made 3 phone calls a day and talked to somebody, and that's before cell phones and I think before answering machines. I'm not sure. So I did that, you know, so here I am, years later, calling my food in every day. Now I text it to about, I don't know, 16 people, I'm not sure. Sponsor a lot of people, thank God. People let me sponsor them. And I write my food down, I weigh and measure my food, and I get up every day during this, and I go out here down by the beach and the cliffs, and I walk for 2 hours, almost 2 hours. That's how I start my day. And read my meditation in the morning, get on the 6:45 phone meeting, and I just started, 76 years old, I just started making my bed every day. It makes me feel better. I got a journal, I put little stars in it. When I do my meditation, I get a star for that. When I take my meds, I get a star for that. When I go for my walk, I get a star for that. When I go down and sit in the spa, I get a star for that. Take a shower, I get a star for that. Shave, I get a star for that. So, my belief is I beat myself up all my life. Now the rest of my life, I'm trying to build myself up to where I actually feel pretty good about Dave. You know, I've been through a lot, like everybody else has. Nobody gets through their life unscathed. But I learned about grief in 2014 when my wife passed away. I learned about grief.
Got one more minute, Dave.
All right, thank you, Fred. So October the 1st, about 3 days ago, I got to revisit that 6 years after that she passed, you know. And I thought, well, I got through that fine. And well, until her daughter put something on Facebook with all her pictures on it, and her son called me and said, I miss Mom, you know, I wish I could have dinner with her again, you know. And so I went down and visited her son, lives down the street, you know, and we reminisced and we visited grief again. And that's one thing a lot of us guys don't do is allow grief to come in, and it's part of life. But I'm sure my wife is in a better place today, and I have a lot of fond memories of her. And I sometimes I even laugh about some of the memories that we used to have together. Anyway, life is good for me. I have no complaints today, because I just live in today. This is it, right? This compartment here I live in. I can't do anything about yesterday. I've made most of my amends that I can think of, unless you can think of one or two. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so none of my business. When it happens, I'll have to deal with it. You know. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, fellas.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much, Dave, for your sharing. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I go to the Church of Fred in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right.